Howdy and good afternoon. Today on Public Eye News, President Fritz Erickson addresses the school on COVID, and Michigan is remembering those lost during its first-year battle of COVID.
Later in the show, Megan Tarcia will have your weather update, and I will be back with sports. Hi, I'm Max Stevens.
And I'm Nate Jacobs, and this is Public Eye News. One year removed from the beginning of the pandemic, Northern Michigan University's President Fritz Erickson released a statement earlier today regarding the current state at the university. A year ago next week, NMU was forced to switch to a completely online format for the remainder of the year, and Erickson has been keen on not having to repeat that. It starts with the PEEF, NMU's recreational gym, where many visitors are not complying with the mask mandate, and Erickson warns if measures are not taken, it will close for the year. Erickson is also stressing to adhere to the CDC guidelines and avoid unnecessary travel. The university's president also hopes that continuing COVID screening will help the school stay on top of the pandemic. In response to the year-long anniversary, the university has lowered all flags to half-mast to remember those fallen to COVID-19. WNMU has recently received a $320,000 grant from the Michigan Economic Development Corporation. This grant is going towards the business's goal of offering, quote, innovative and supportive services for entrepreneurs across the Upper Peninsula, end quote. WNMU's student employees offer a wide range of diversity, including business, graphic design, and engineering majors, among others. This grant will help the students apply their education to real-world applicable situations to further their career. Catherine Stenberg, Director of Entrepreneurial Services, said, quote, at its core, the program provides Upper Peninsula businesses, entrepreneurs, and innovators multifaceted support, end quote. The MEDC approved several other grants to support initiatives across the state. And the Michigan Department of Natural Resources Citizens Advisory Council will now be held virtually. According to WLUC TV, the Western Upper Peninsula meeting will take place in a web conference next Thursday, March 18th. The purpose of those DNR meetings are to provide community input on different programs and policies. Council membership, updates on the Inland Walleye Management Plan, and carbon credits and renewable energy are among the items on the agenda for next week's meeting. To attend the virtual web conference, contact Christy Dahlstrom at 906-226-1331. For meeting minutes or information regarding becoming a council member, visit michigan.gov/UPCAC.
As reported by WLUC TV, Governor Gretchen Whitmer is scheduled to give an update today on the state's response to the coronavirus pandemic 1 year after it began. The governor will be alongside Michigan Department of Health and Human Services Chief Medical Executive Dr. Joni Calden, and the two will give updates on the state's continued response to the virus. The governor is also going to pay tribute to the nearly 16,000 Michiganders who have died as a result of COVID-19. In honor of the lives lost, Whitmer has asked those across the state to turn lights on outside their homes from 8 to 9 p.m. tonight. And the Michigan State Legislature is currently investigating severance payments from the state to former employees and are blaming the governor for what some are calling a waste of money. The state recently disclosed almost $700,000 of severance pay over the last decade. The majority of the payouts, totaling $632,000, involves 30 deals in the state Senate between 2010 and now. 20 of the deals have been in the last 5 years, and some Republicans in the Senate are excusing the governor of, quote, hush money payouts, but the governor is denying any of those allegations. The governor announced that the administration will be changing the procedure for severance packages going forward. And Michigan State University is altering its normal graduation plans to make sure that the 8,400 graduating seniors get their chance to walk across the stage and get their diploma. Graduation ceremonies will be split up into around 50 different ceremonies this year instead of the usual 20 that the school normally hosts, and will be held in parking lots to allow for social distancing. Each student can bring up to 2 guests, which will allow the gatherings to keep within current pandemic restrictions. Don't touch that dial. When we come back, we'll have your national and international news.
Love, look at the two of us.
The Carpenters return.
And yes, we've just begun.
Close to you, remembering the Carpenters.
Tonight at 9:30 on WNMU TV.
Welcome back. When Seattle, Washington received the mandate for mass COVID vaccination sites, they were welcomed with a large need for volunteers. In order to keep the site up and running, Seattle needed roughly 320 volunteers per day to direct traffic and check people in, among other responsibilities. In return for helping at the vaccination sites, volunteers are offered a chance for a vaccination of their own as compensation. And U.S. Marshals arrested 47-year-old Sean Lannon in connection of 3 bodies found in a New Mexico airport garage. Lannon is also a suspect in the murder of his ex-wife and a slaying in New Jersey. The 3 victims found in the parking garage had been missing since January, and Lannon has been connected to all the victims found in both New Mexico and New Jersey.
As Russia continues to crack down on social media in the country, they have now slowed down the speed of Twitter and users in the country's ability to share photos and videos on the platform. The government slowed down the site after it failed to remove content such as posts encouraging children to commit suicide and images of child abuse. This is according to the state communications watchdog Roskomnadzor. And South Korea has officially agreed to pay more money to house U.S. troops in the country. The deal comes as the relationship with South Korea had been strained by the Trump administration after the former president demanded a 5-fold increase in South Korea's contributions to the U.S. troops. The Biden administration has agreed to a 13.9% overall increase in South Korea's contributions. And Unity Point Health Meritor nurses are pushing for changes in their contracts, including more protections against the pandemic. If push comes to shove, they say they'll give a 10-day notice for a strike. Madeline O'Neill is at Meritor Hospital, where nurses voiced their concerns to the public this afternoon.
2020 certainly was one heck of a year.
After a year full of change,
nurses have never seen sicker patients in their entire lifetime.
Nurses at Unity Point Health Meritor are asking for some change of their own.
We've earned a decent raise, and that's what we're asking for.
That's not all.
We need sick time. We need to be able to take care of ourselves. We need to be able to take care of our families. We've also, another thing that we're working on is incentive pay. When there are extra shifts and we're asked to come in on our days off and to rearrange our schedules and our obligations, we're asking for that fair compensation.
Nurses are represented by SEIU Healthcare Wisconsin, the state's largest healthcare workers union. Unity Point Health Meritor tells us they believe their most recent proposal to SEIU is strong and fair, already having reached agreement on nearly 30 issues. The hospital says they're surprised nurses voted to authorize a 10-day notice strike.
It is not something that we want to do. It's not something that we're going to take very lightly. But it is something that is frankly an option if we absolutely have to.
In a statement, Meritor writes, quote, "The bargaining process is not without challenges, but we have always worked collaboratively to reach solutions without a disruption to patient care." Nurses say the disruption brought by the pandemic
We have not felt like we've been treated like heroes throughout the year.
has uncovered broad issues that need addressing.
We're not the only nurses in town. We're not the only nurses in the state. And there are a lot of issues that have been raised with this pandemic that I think a lot of people need to realize what's going on.
President Biden has said his #1 priority since coming into office is nearly a $2 trillion coronavirus economic relief package. Now he's on the verge of signing the bill into law. Skylar Henry has more details from Capitol Hill.
The House will be in order.
A final vote on President Biden's $1.9 trillion coronavirus relief package is expected in the House soon.
A once-in-a-lifetime pandemic requires bold investment, and that is what the American Rescue Plan is.
The so-called relief bill will end up costing every hardworking taxpayer in America more than $5,000 each.
Included in the bill is an extension of federal unemployment benefits at $300 a week.
An excuse to expand the welfare state and pay people not to work.
Money to help schools reopen, increase vaccine distribution, and support for state and local governments. It also includes a tax credit of up to $3,600 per child.
This is a good plan that provides direct assistance to the people of this country that need it.
And there will be a new round of stimulus checks. $1,400 for individuals making $75,000 a year or less, and $2,800 for couples making less than $150,000. Those will start going out this month. President Biden will be able to sign the bill into law this week as the nation marks the one-year anniversary of the global pandemic and shutdowns across the country.
Our focus now is on the address the president will be delivering on Thursday night during his first primetime address. He'll talk about COVID, what we've been through as a country, and what the path forward looks like.
The immediate focus is on increasing vaccine distribution to reach as many people as possible.
Today, we're averaging above 2 million shots per day.
The Biden administration is purchasing 100 million more doses of the Johnson & Johnson single-shot vaccine. Skylar Henry, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
We'll be right back with you with some weather and sports.
And that's the thing about life, How can it be? It's 50 years ago. Seems like yesterday now that I'm talking about it. I see their faces. Everybody I'm talking about appears to me. Yeah.
Thursday night at 9 on WNMU TV.
Welcome back to Public Eye News. I'm Megan Tarcia here with your weather. Behind me is a very gloomy and foggy but also warm NMU campus as we look into today's conditions. It is partly cloudy outside with a low of 38 degrees, and our winds are it is rain showers outside with a temperature of 43 degrees. Our winds are north at 9 miles per hour, and our barometric pressure is 29.73 inches and falling. Looking into tonight's conditions, it'll be partly cloudy with a low of 38 degrees, and our winds will be southwest at 9 miles per hour. Looking into tomorrow's conditions, it'll be windy with a high of 42 degrees, and our winds will be west at 20 miles per hour. Looking across the UP, it is pretty rainy throughout. Starting in Sault Ste. Marie, it is 45, Manistee at 43, Escanaba at 43 as well. Down in Menominee, it is 51, Iron Mountain, it is 52, Ironwood, it is 40, up in Houghton, it is 42, and here in Marquette, it is 43 degrees. Looking ahead at our weekly conditions, starting with Friday, it'll be a high of 27 and a low of 20 degrees, partly cloudy skies. Saturday will be a high of 48 and a low of 28, sunny skies, and Sunday will be a high of 31 with a low of 20 degrees and partly cloudy skies. Now going over to Max Stevens with our sports.
Thank you, Megan. It's March, and that means madness is on the horizon for college hoops fans. But first, we have conference tournaments to play, and tonight begins the Big Ten tournament. Minnesota and Northwestern will open the tournament tonight at 6:30 with Nebraska and Penn State to follow at 9 o'clock. The initial pairings conclude tomorrow when Michigan State takes on Maryland at 11:30, followed by Indiana and Rutgers at 6:30. Ohio State and Wisconsin will also take the court tomorrow with the Buckeyes to face the winner of Minnesota and Northwestern, while the Badgers await the winner of Nebraska-Penn State. Tournament top seed Michigan will play their first game of the tourney on Friday against the winner of Michigan State and Maryland. And after a 4-day break between games, the Detroit Red Wings last night returned to the ice for the first of a 2-game set with the Tampa Bay Lightning. After falling behind 2-1 by the end of the first period, Patrick Nemeth evened up the game in the second period, and a few minutes later, Dylan Larkin scored to put the Wings ahead 3-2. The Wings surrendered their lead midway through the third period after Eric Chernak got one past Thomas Greiss, and Blake Coleman ended the game for Tampa Bay midway through overtime, giving the Lightning a 4-3 win. The loss was the fourth straight for the Wings, but by dragging the game into overtime, the Wings snag a point to improve to 7-16-4. The game was also a milestone for the Red Wings as loosened COVID restrictions in Michigan enabled 750 fans to attend the game as opposed to the 250 that were allowed in for each previous Red Wings home game this year. And the finalists for the 2021 Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame were announced yesterday. The star-studded lineup featuring the likes of Chris Webber, Bill Russell, Lauren Jackson, and Ben Wallace. Bill Russell has already been inducted for his playing career, but now is up for enshrinement as a coach. Russell was the first black head coach in NBA history and led the Celtics to back-to-back titles in 1968 and 1969 as a player coach. Lauren Jackson is one of the most decorated women's basketball players of all time. She was a 3-time WNBA MVP, 3-time scoring champion, 7-time All-Star, and a 1-time Defensive Player of the Year to go along with a Finals MVP in 2010 after leading the Seattle Storm to a title. And with that, that's all the time we have for you today. Thank you very much for joining us in this edition of Public Eye News. We'll see you all tomorrow.
The preceding program was produced by WNMU TV, Northern Michigan University Public Television, in studios located in Elizabeth and Edgar Hardin Hall.